Springbok coach Jacques Nienaber will show his hand today as he announces his 33-player squad for the upcoming Rugby World Cup to be held in France. Siya Kolisi will lead the team, of course, even though the 2019 World Cup winning captain hasn't played any international rugby this season due to a knee injury. Fly half and vice captain Andre Pollard, who has also been sidelined by a calf injury, is guaranteed a place in the squad. We speak to eNCA sport editor Vata Ngobeni ahead of the squad announcement. All right, let's actually go to Bravi now, who's expected to give us an update. Bravi, exactly who do you think, besides the people that we've mentioned, who else do you think is going to make it to Nienaber's team?
Afternoon, Maseko. Yes, you spoke about Siya Kolisi. He hasn't played any rugby at all, international rugby this year, along with Vice Captain Andre Pollard. They are guaranteed of their place on that plane to France. Jacques Nienaber and Director of Rugby as well, Rassie Rasmus, spoke about 2 months ago, saying that they've been in this situation before, especially with Siya Kolisi leading up to 2019. And he still went to the World Cup and led the team to victory there. You know, I think there's just over 20 of the players in the current squad that were in the 2019 team that won the World Cup, and you know, a lot of those faces should be on that plane to France. However, you know, you've got some young blood that's been infused in the team over the last few years. You speak of the likes of Kenan Moody, you know, your Kurtley Orenses, your Jaden Hendrikses. There's a lot of names that are knocking very hard at the door. Like a guy like Dion Fourie, you know, who's over the age of 35, but has played some sparkling rugby this year, not just for his team, the Stormers, but also for the Springboks when given the opportunity as well. So a lot of tough decisions that the Jacques Nienaber would have had to make in the last 2 days, because the Springboks were playing in Argentina, in Buenos Aires, in a game of which they won, and a lot of those French players, you know, put up their hands as well, saying to Jacques, please pick me. I want to go to France. I want to be part of the world champions. I want to be part of history. If the Springboks are to defend the title back to back, they want to be part of that history as well. So again, I think a lot of sleepless nights for Jacques Nienaber and Rassie Rasmus as well.
And of course, Bravi, you know, at some point after his knee injury, the captain, a lot of people were quite nervous on whether or not he'd actually be called to the team this time after that injury. Do you think he'll be ready?
He should be ready, Maseko. He should be ready. There's talk that he could be as ready as in 2 weeks' time for the warm-up match against Wales. And if he plays in the game against Wales, he'll also probably play then in the game against the All Blacks as well at Twickenham. That will be their last warm-up match prior to taking on Scotland in the opening game of the World Cup. So, you know, Andre Pollard as well, the signs are the medical team is talking about him probably going to be ready for the game against the All Blacks. So I think at the moment not too many people worried about their fitness. I think they will have enough time. 2 matches is you know, for players like Siya Kolisi and Andre Pollard, who've been in the mix for so long. It should be enough for them. I think they've worked very well with the strength and conditioning team, and you know, all signs are that come that game against Scotland, that first game of the World Cup for them, Siya Kolisi will lead out the team, and Andre Pollard should be wearing the number 10 jersey.
Quite important players that you speak about there, Bravi, Andre Pollard and Siya Kolisi. These are people who actually were the pride and joy, or part of the pride and joy, back in 2019 when we actually came back with the World Cup. Do you think we can do it back to back?
It's going to be a very tough one. You know, Maseko, one has to look at the draw that the Springboks are in. You've got Scotland in there, you've got the world #1 team, which is Ireland, and then you've got the unpredictable nations like your Tonga, who have been beefed up with players that have played for other major nations, and then you've got Georgia, which will be a very, very tricky team to play against. However, what's important is that the Springboks need to make sure that they win the first 2 matches, and that will be Scotland and Tonga, so by the time that they get to the Irish game, their place in the quarterfinals is almost sealed. Another tricky part of this draw is the crossover. They will be crossing over with the pool where you find France, which are the hosts, and New Zealand as well. However, you know, the Springboks have shown time and time again that they're the team that thrive being underdogs, a team that thrive on being on the back foot, and you know, this World Cup presents that to them. You know, they are on the back foot. They're no longer world number ones anymore. They remain world champions, but they go back to France, where we saw that second World Cup victory of theirs in 2007. So there'll be a lot of history that will be driving them, but I think more than anything, that little bit of history that says to themselves they want to be the second team after New Zealand to win back-to-back titles, and also become the first team to win 4 Rugby World Cup titles. That will be driving them immensely. And this group of players are highly, highly experienced. I think they've proven it not just in the last 4 years, in the last 5 years, being able to go to New Zealand, win in New Zealand, but more than anything, you know, what they were able to do in Japan 4 years ago, you know, proved what a special group of players, Jacques Nienaber and Rassie Erasmus have within their side. But they will need that experience, but more than anything, to draw a lot of inspiration from the young blood and hungry people that are going to be named in that squad as well. So I think the finding the balance between experience and the youthful exuberance could be a key for the Springboks.
And I mean, Bravi, to be fair, I think I can imagine sports editors at in the countries that you've just mentioned that you're saying should be a headache to us are probably saying that we're a headache for them as well, because we have proven ourselves, like you said, in the past 4 years. So that announcement happening later today in terms of our Rugby World Cup squad for this year. And that was our eNCA sports editor, Vata Ngobeni.